Every MMA pound-for-pound king ranked. Who's the true pound-for-pound king of MMA? That title has changed hands like 10 times. Pound for pound just means, forget weight class, who's the best fighter on the planet, period. This crown gets passed around constantly, from bare-knuckle brawlers in the 90s to today's superstars. Back in 1993, a skinny Brazilian guy walked into the first ever UFC and shocked everyone. There were no weight classes back then, so Royce just used jiu-jitsu to choke out way bigger guys. He proved technique beats size, won 3 of the first 4 tournaments, then walked away as a legend. Enter Kazushi Sakuraba, a Japanese wrestler who did the unthinkable and started beating the Gracie family at their own game. He beat 4 different Gracies in Pride and earned the nickname the Gracie Hunter, becoming Japan's biggest star. Then came a guy a lot of old heads still call the greatest ever, Fedor Emelianenko from Russia. This unassuming Sambo master became Pride's heavyweight king and looked completely unbeatable for almost a decade straight. He knocked out Cro Cop, one of the scariest strikers alive, and just kept adding legends to his resume. His trilogy with Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira is still one of the greatest heavyweight rivalries the sport has ever seen. He went undefeated for roughly 10 years, a run so long it's basically impossible to imagine happening today. In 2010, Fabricio Verdum caught him in a triangle armbar, and just like that, the untouchable king finally fell. Meanwhile, in America, Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture were beating each other up and putting the UFC on the map. Next up, Anderson Silva, a Brazilian striker, so smooth people started calling him a spider. He took over the UFC middleweight division and made world-class fighters look like they were standing still. Remember that front kick that knocked Vitor Belfort out cold? That's the kind of highlight reel Silva built. He racked up 16 straight wins in the UFC, a middleweight record that honestly might never get broken. Then in 2013, Chris Weidman capitalized on Silva's showboating and knocked him out, ending one of MMA's longest reigns. Across in welterweight, Georges St-Pierre was quietly building maybe the most complete game the sport had ever seen. GSP mixed elite wrestling with sharp jiu-jitsu and just never let anyone get close enough to hurt him. He walked away undefeated at welterweight, then shocked everyone by returning years later to beat Michael Bisping for another belt. At just 23, Jon Jones became the youngest champion in UFC history, and honestly, nobody was ready for him. His crazy reach and weird elbow strikes made him look like nothing the sport had ever really dealt with. He defended his light heavyweight title over and over, beating a murderer's row of contenders without breaking much sweat. But outside the cage, things got messy fast, with failed drug tests and even a hit-and-run scandal. The belt got stripped from him more than once, proving that being the best fighter doesn't fix everything else. Down at flyweight, Demetrious Johnson, nicknamed Mighty Mouse, was quietly doing things nobody else in MMA could do. He set the UFC record with 11 straight title defenses, a mark that honestly might stand forever. Most fans slept on him just because flyweight isn't flashy, but plenty of experts still call him the most skilled ever. Then came Khabib Nurmagomedov, a wrestler from Dagestan who just refused to lose, period. His style was simple but brutal: take you down, smother you, and grind you out for 25 straight minutes. He completely owned the lightweight division and made some of the best fighters on earth look completely helpless. His super fight against Conor McGregor in 2018 broke pay-per-view records and turned Khabib into a global superstar. He retired in 2020 with a perfect 29-0 record, right after losing his father and biggest supporter. Israel Adesanya brought pure kickboxing precision to the middleweight title, picking opponents apart from a distance. For a while, he was the sharpest striker in the sport, and a lot of people had him ranked number 1. Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian nightmare, turned the welterweight division into his personal wrestling classroom for years. He was so dominant that people genuinely debated whether he'd ever lose a round, let alone a fight. Leon Edwards ended it with a head kick out of nowhere in the final round, and just like that, it was over. Islam Makhachev, Khabib's best friend and training partner, basically inherited the exact same suffocating fighting style. He took over the lightweight title and later added a second belt, becoming a genuine double champion himself. For a long stretch, plenty of rankings had Makhachev sitting right at number 1, pound for pound in the world. Meanwhile, Jon Jones wasn't done. He moved up to heavyweight to chase one more piece of history. He beat Cyril Gane to grab the heavyweight belt too, joining a very short list of two division legends. He eventually stepped away with barely any losses on his record, and plenty still call him the greatest ever. Alex Pereira came in as a kickboxer who'd already beaten Adesanya twice before either of them touched the UFC. He won the middleweight title, then jumped up and grabbed the light heavyweight belt too, stacking championships fast. Now let's talk about the women, because the female pound-for-pound throne has had some absolutely wild owners too. Ronda Rousey, an Olympic judo medalist, walked into the UFC and started armbaringing everyone in under a minute. She basically became the most famous fighter on the planet and put women's MMA on the map single-handedly. Holly Holm ended it with a head kick knockout in 2015, one of the biggest upsets the sport has ever seen. Enter Amanda Nunes, nicknamed the Lioness, who quietly built the strongest resume in women's MMA history. She knocked out Ronda Rousey in 48 seconds, then later beat Cyborg 2, taking down two legends back-to-back. She held two belts at once and is still called by many the greatest female fighter of all time. She retired in 2023 on her own terms, something almost none of the fighters on this list got to do. Valentina Shevchenko, nicknamed Bullet, ruled the flyweight division with some of the cleanest striking women's MMA has seen. Her kickboxing background made her nearly impossible to hit clean, and she defended that belt again and again. Zhang Weili became the first Chinese UFC champion ever, then went on to dominate the strawweight division for years. Her fights are always wars, and a lot of rankings now put her near the very top pound for pound. Outside the UFC, one championship built its own stars, with Demetrious Johnson even going there to win more belts. Bellator and PFL had their own kings too, like Patricio Pitbull, proving greatness doesn't only live inside the UFC. So right now, in 2026, who actually holds the crown? Honestly, fans and experts still can't agree. Names like Ilia Topuria, Islam Makhachev, and Alex Pereira all get thrown around in that exact same conversation. Every single one of these fighters held that crown for a reason, and every single one eventually lost it too. That's the wild thing about pound for pound. It's not really about one king, it's about the entire climb.